Hello, you guys. How are you all? Hey, Nadie. Hey, Eris. Hey, Mallory. Hey, Jane Doe. I love you, Mallory. I saw that that Brittany's channel is back, ready to go, which is so exciting. And I haven't got to talk to you for a few days, so I hope you're doing well. I haven't actually talked to hardly anyone the last few days. I've been in my own little world. My anxiety, does that to me. I just don't want to, I don't know, socialize, deal with people sometimes. I'm weird. Anyways, hey, PJ. Hey, innocent until proven guilty. Hey, Spicy Sugar. Hey, Terry. Oh, thank you, Lisa, by the way. Thank you so, so much. That was really, really sweet, and I appreciate it a ton. Hey, West Virginia Holler Girl. Kelly Cregan. Hey, Amanda. I'm so happy you made it, too. Hey, Social Butterfly. Johnny. Let's see. Yeah, you definitely got to recharge. I get that way, you guys. Thank you guys for being here, Liz. Also, I took my kids to the doctor yesterday because they had not gotten rid of this cough that they've had for weeks. They've been sick a couple times and the cough just has not went away. And I told the doctor, I'm like, yeah, they're not sick right now. Like, this is something lingering. I didn't expect her to test them for anything. She ends up testing my oldest one anyways. And they called today and he has COVID. So, and rhinovirus. Of course, I'm like, oh, now my parents are starting to get sick. I'm just frustrated with that. Hey, Danny B. Hey, Woofy. Silly me, the dog is doing so well. He's like nothing ever happened. He's just happy as can be and wild as can be. Tori, we've had 2 snow days and another tomorrow, so kiddos are home. Oh, my goodness. I remember having snow days when I lived back in West Virginia, and I don't miss it. It's beautiful, but I freeze, and I do not miss the cold. Hey, 7 of us. Except for, it's good because you don't have to do school and all that stuff. You guys can sleep in maybe a little bit. And nothing better than being in a warm, cozy house when it's cold outside. Thank you, silly Mimi, too. Hey, Jules. I'm glad you made it back in. Let's see, Heather. Hey, my son has walking pneumonia. They said he was okay and just a cold at first. Oh, my God. I hope he feels better. I'm sorry. Hey, Britt. So we're going to talk about a couple things. First, okay, so we know there's a part 2 to the airmail article, which I haven't even read. I was going to just wait and do it with you guys. But before we get to that, I want to show you something. Actually, friend of mine did this to me today, and I have not seen this anywhere, and it's very interesting. And Wolfie, did you, oh man, I didn't even look at my text. I'm curious what you found about this because, oh my God. Did he take the video down? No. Well, shoot, y'all. I should have downloaded that. Dang it. Well, let's see what else I had for us to watch before we get to the article.
Someone called 911.
Oh, this was just a clip from 2020. Okay, hold on. Let me think for a second. I cannot believe he took down the video. We have lots of other stuff to look at. You saved it? Yay! Will you send it to me? If it really was the same one, Facebook. So this guy, he goes through, he's going through the documents and he points out a couple things. It's kind of interesting that Bethany and Dylan do not have the exact paperwork and that kind of stuff, which I can't explain it. So I'm just going to wait and show you guys when I get it. Let's see what else I saved for us, because I saved a bunch of stuff. That is so frustrating, though. Ooh, I did see this angle. Okay, so TikTok, there's people that were filming. You know, when we saw Bryan leaving court, we saw from the news angle. I just thought this was an interesting angle I had not seen before. So,
Bryan! Make your mom proud. Make your mom proud. Bryan, what you doing? Bryan! Make your mom proud.
hey, Avery.
Bryan, what you
Search and rescue. Said, did you make your mother proud? I just think it's so cool because regular people just went down there, you know, and filmed. That's the crazy thing about this day and age. We're just going to go to this article and then we'll come back to that video. It is very interesting, though. I have to wonder. There has to be a reason why he took that down. You guys will see once I get it. I'm going to forward it over to my Facebook account. Hey, C-Wise. Lisa, what did you say? I saw a bunch of freaking like plain spray and stuff here, actually. Hey, True Crime Crazy. Thank you. Lipton green tea. I have some Lipton watermelon green tea. It is so good. Hey, Sinful Butterfly. Hey, Zoomer Mom. Okay, let's get right into this then, and then we'll go back to it. So this is part 2. We read the first part. Now, I made the short video about the FBI supposedly losing Bryan and his dad for a few hours, and also about the trip, like the particular, how would I say that, route that they took, instead of taking another route that would have been through the mountains and would have been pretty hard to drive, which we speculated that was most likely why, because people that were local there told us, you know, that road is really, really hard to drive in the winter. A cross-country father and son drive becomes part of an intricate cat and mouse game. At the journey's end, 24 police officers lay in wait. I love the way that this writer writes. They do such a good job. Let me turn this off. Was he proven to be the killer yet, huh? Not yet. Oh my gosh. Nadie. Yes, she is. And I wanted to show you guys before we even get started. Oh my gosh. I hope I brought that. I had the little card from Nadie. Oh, I think it's at the house. Nope, I got it. Okay. So my friend Nay makes the most amazing wax melts. And I'm not just saying that because she's my friend. They really are that good. I was buying them anyways from Walmart. And I think hers are so much better. Today, I got some that I ordered from her, and I wanted to show you guys. So I brought her card with me so that I could show you. You have to go check out her website. So let me show you. Let's see if I can make me the biggest one. Okay, and then does this work or is the glare? So you can find her on Instagram or Facebook. Instagram, Music Melts. Facebook, Dory.Duval.7 or that Sully333. I am telling you guys, you will not be disappointed. Not only do they smell so good, I love the discontinued section because there's some really good ones there. But I don't know, they're just unique. They're just well done. They're well packaged. The way that every single detail is just so well done. When you get a box, you unwrap each individual melt. I don't know. I love it. If you order, you'll see what I mean. And I think that we have a code there too, which, hold on. So I don't make money from the code. I'm not giving you this to try to make money from you guys. This is just the truth. And she did this to just simply be good to us and to my viewers. And the code is 20% off for tie-dyed kindness. like, sorry to cough in y'all's face, but let me put it in the chat. I think it's tie-dyed kindness. Like, oh my God, though, they are just so good. But so check them out. If your whole house will smell good, seriously. Hey, Wilby. No, that's okay, Nate. I meant to bring that up anyways. That is why I brought your card with me, because my whole plan. Because, I mean, I opened the box. She's my friend. I love her. I'm going to love it no matter what. Every single, like, each individual little package is wrapped up in really pretty tissue paper, and just the details, the time and effort that she puts into even the little details. It's so impressive. And I love them. I love you. And I really want to make sure to, support you. I love the Bum Bum one. I have it in right now, actually. When I walked over to the house, because I ate at my mom and dad's, we had dinner with them. And when we walked over, I was like, my house smells too good, like the Bum Bum cream. Okay. So let's get right into this. I'm sorry, you guys, to take away from what we were talking about. But yeah, I love them. Okay. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. That's elusive. What does that say? That's basic geometry, only you're smarter. It's easy. After all, you know how the investigators work. You're a student of cop think, so you stay one step ahead of them. No straight lines. You program a route into your phone they wouldn't expect. It'll take a bit longer, but it'll still get you where you want to go. Sure, it shook you up a week ago when the authorities announced they were looking for a white Hyundai Elantra. You'd been sloppy. Who'd have thought you'd get caught on a surveillance camera in a one-horse town like Moscow, Idaho? But you were already one step ahead of them. So what if they had a photo of a Hyundai with a single Pennsylvania plate? That's not you anymore. You quickly registered the car in Washington and attached a new set of plates. Presto. That's why you've gotten away with it for 6 weeks, and you'll keep on getting away with it because you're smarter than they are. Even better, you're lucky. You have the perfect cover. Your father along for the trip riding shotgun. What could be more innocent? All you need to do is keep driving. You'll be home for the holidays. 2,500 miles, nearly the width of the entire country between you and those Keystone cops. Sell the car back east and they'll never know. You'll have the last laugh again. Killing is easy, and so is getting away with it. Okay. Doubtless, these are only speculations. The hard facts, especially for a case that has held the nation's attention for the past 3 months like a magnet, are frustratingly narrow. Bryan Kohberger is a 28-year-old doctoral candidate in the Criminal Justice and Criminology Department at Washington State University. He's been charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of felony burglary as the lone assailant in the November 13th stabbing deaths of the 4 University of Idaho students. Oh, I cannot speak today. I'm sorry, you guys. Over the course of what is expected to be at least 4 hard-charging and affecting days, prosecutors will strive to convince a judge, so this is about the hearing in June, to convince a judge that they have accumulated sufficient evidence to proceed to trial. And the defense, acting on their client's wishes, will reveal whether it intends to fight the allegations with all its legal might, or if it will surrender Kohberger to the presumed mercy of the court and have him plead guilty. The outcome of this decision is likely a matter, literally, of life or death. Idaho has established an execution chamber where the lives of the judicially condemned are ended with a catheterized drip of a 4-solution lethal cocktail. Yet regardless of what is determined at that still distant preliminary hearing, it seems self-evident that the next stage of Bryan Kohberger's complicated life, a pained existence lived by his own admission under a treacherous star, was set in motion by the road trip that took him across country and home to the Pocono Mountains for the Christmas holidays, a journey that ultimately brought him to his present forlorn destination, a cell in the Latah County, Idaho jail where he is being held without bail. And with equal certainty, it can be said that as Kohberger made his way back home and then celebrated the Christmas season in the bosom of his family, it was also a time when the small army of law enforcement officers who had been chasing This perplexing case, since its unnerving start, began to grow convinced that, at least in operational terms, things had clarified. They knew, as any pack of bloodhounds would know, that they had the scent. And although they dared not breathe a word to the media, or for that matter, even to their weary loved ones, they were closing in. Hey, work for Lutterworth. Can't drive on the back roads to a country flea market without leaving some kind of digital footprint. Not these days. Oh, awesome, Amanda. I'm so happy that you won. I'm excited. Hey, Monica. Okay, you guys. Old antagonisms. So this is where that, like I told you guys at the beginning, this is the article where that came from about the FBI losing him. We're going to read through it. The writer is, I think, really good creatively. You know, I just like the way that they write, so it keeps it pretty interesting. My chest, I definitely think I'm getting sick. I swear, when your kids are in school, it's constant, like back to back to back to back. It's frustrating. Okay. Michael Kohberger was worried about the snow. Only days earlier, he had flown from Philadelphia to Seattle, then caught a twin-engine 170 jet for the 1 hour or so shuttle flight into the frigid Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport. And now, December 13th, he was already heading back home. Only this time, it'd be a road trip. It was a fatiguing back-and-forth cross-country jaunt, especially for a 67-year-old. But Kohberger had promised his son, Bryan, who had nearly a month off before classes resumed at WSU, that he'd accompany him on the drive back home for Christmas break. And he was determined to make good on his pledge. Over the years, there had been some rough, combative times between the two of them. He'd even had to get Bryan into rehab to kick his teenage heroin habit. But now the young man seemed on a good path, studying for a PhD in criminal justice, offered a promising career trajectory for Bryan, and it can be imagined it must have puffed up a father with a prideful sense of parental accomplishment. After all, Michael's own life had been tarnished by not one but two embarrassing bankruptcies, and his workdays were a drudgery, spent as a maintenance man at the dreary high school his 3 children had attended. Perhaps he was even looking forward to this road trip as a way to revitalize his relationship with his son, a way to bury once and for all any lingering remnants of their own antagonisms. But for now, Michael, as he'd later recount to an associate, was largely focused only on the forecast. And you guys, I don't know about you, but to me, his dad seemed super proud of him. Like, even in that short little clip where we see him talking to the cop, when he tells us that he's, a PhD student, like he's proud for sure, in my opinion. When it snowed in the Northwest, the accumulations were routinely measured in feet, not inches. Michael knew, and so he wanted to get going. When the weather came in, it'd be rough traveling in a 7-year-old Hyundai Elantra without 4-wheel drive. You'd be slipping and sliding all over the road, so he urged Bryan that they should pack up and get going. Now, his son agreed. Only once they were on the road, Bryan did something his father would later casually share with one of the mechanics at the garage near their home in Pennsylvania, who'd serviced the car after the trip, that caught him by surprise. Before Michael had headed out to Washington, he'd Googled the route back home. The quickest, most logical drive was pretty much a straight line, plowing across the country along I-90. Bryan, however, button-hooked south toward Colorado, where he'd pick up I-70. It seemed to make little sense. Colorado in mid-December was snow country. There was no telling what might suddenly come blowing down the Rockies. But Bryan, according to what his father told people, insisted the northern route across I-90 promised wintry conditions. Better to head away from the weather, even if it added hours or even a day to the trip. Sorry, you guys, I keep having to mute to cough. Ugh. Okay. It was a strategy that, when explained that reasonable way, was practical, even prudent. And this is what we thought. Many people who live there said that really was, like I said in the beginning, a tough way to go. But it seemed like something more devious to the FBI. Unknown to either the father or the son, the Bureau had been determined to keep a watchful eye on the white Hyundai's trek across America. Only sources in law enforcement would confide with a bristle of embarrassment not long after the car pulled out of its space in the graduate housing parking lot. They lost it for several alarming hours or more. The authorities are keeping the precise details of this screw-up close to the vest. The chief suspect in a quadruple homicide that had shocked the nation had seemingly vanished. The Bureau's watchers call it a hatbox operation, and the jargon was a bit of an anachronism. Yeah. It was a throwback to an era where G-men sporting fedoras over their Brill cleaned hair would be out in force on the street to monitor a target's every move. A sea of hats would box the suspect in. These days, the watchers have a few more tricks at their disposal. Undercover vehicles, surveillance vans, low-flying fixed-wing planes, and that's just for starters. But the name has stuck. In the surveillance on Bryan Kohberger, according to published reports and interviews with officials, was hatbox all the way. There's the parents' home, and I don't know if you guys saw, but I know that Molly Golightly and Betty were at the parents' home today. And they did talk to some of the neighbors and stuff, which was kind of interesting. I have it in a little thing for us to look at if you guys want to. And I just got that video, thankfully, that I wanted to show y'all in the beginning, but we'll finish this first. So with good reason, to the investigators' rising sense of excitement, the circumstantial theory they'd been secretly incubating for weeks was growing stronger and stronger. Back on November 25th, Moscow PD had whispered to local lawmen to keep their eyes peeled for a white 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. One had been caught on surveillance video dashing about the neighborhood not far from the King Road crime scene in the early morning hours immediately following the murders. 4 days later, Daniel Tiengo, a Washington State University police officer, was diligently spending the midnight hours on his quiet graveyard shift going through the inventory of white Elantras registered at the university, and up popped one belonging to Bryan. Half an hour later, another WSU officer drove over to the graduate student parking lot and eyeballed the vehicle, only to discover the car now had Washington State plates. Later in the still new morning, this morsel of intelligence, interesting, but certainly nothing provocative, was passed on to Corporal Brett Payne, the Goncalves former Army MP who was the Moscow police's lead investigator. Payne dutifully typed the car's registration details into the motor vehicle's record system, and the screen quickly displayed a photograph of Bryan Kohberger, as well as his state's driver's license information. The license revealed that he's a white male, 6 feet, 185 pounds, but it was the photograph that held Payne's studious gaze. He swiftly zeroed in on the eyebrows. They were bushy. And that, Payne realized with a mounting sense of triumph, was precisely the sort of telltale clue he'd been praying for over the past 2 weeks. For all along, since the very first days of this grim case, he and the small inner circle of investigators had been guarding an explosive secret. They had an eyewitness. Dylan Mortensen, one of the two 19-year-old surviving roommates, had seen the killer. At a little past 4 a.m., just about when the detectives theorized the 4 students had been hacked to death, she'd heard a plaintive cry. Anxious, she opened the door. Like, I did not know we were walking. I think the way that was said was a little bit odd, but I'm just going to continue. I did not know that it was going to say that like that. I kind of cringed saying it. And I can't see her comments yet, but I will come to them in just a moment as I'm reading, though. I'm on another screen. So, anxious, she opened the door to her second-floor room and saw someone. A man dressed ominously in black was walking toward her. He was, she'd vividly recall, the details forever etched deep in her memory, at least 5 feet 10, not bulked up, but still trim like an athlete, and he wore a mask that covered his mouth and nose, but not his eyes or his eyebrows. They do look like they've been shaved in that picture, in my opinion, but that's... neither here nor there, but a profound and vehement fear seized hold of her. A frozen shock phase was how she would try to describe her galloping emotions. But the black-clad intruder continued past her as if she were invisible, and headed toward a sliding glass door that led out of the house. For reasons that continue to be bound tight with the bands of mystery, Dylan returned to her room, locked the door, and didn't emerge until after 11 a.m. Only then did she summon friends who, in a state of full-blown panic, at last called 911. But as she later related her unnerving experience to police interrogators, she shared one detail that at the time seemed small, if not irrelevant. The man in black had bushy eyebrows. And now, 16 days after the murders, Brett Payne found himself staring at a photograph of a man who just might be the intruder Dylan had seen walking purposefully through her home. Oh, that gives me the creeps. Hey, Kim. Hey, Mama Bear. Hey, Ann. Bushy eyebrows. Well, that really narrows it down. Okay. In the hectic days that followed, the investigators quietly went to work on Kohberger. Using cell phone data, the techies on the FBI's Cellular Analysis Survey team mapped his movements. Kohberger, they methodically counted, had been in the King Road neighborhood near the murder site at least a dozen times over the past few months. Had he been stalking one of the victims, the residents? They wondered, and like Sherlock Holmes, whose canny deductions in The Adventure of Silver Blaze were prompted by the curious incident of the dog that didn't bark, they too found reassurance in a negative fact, the discovery that Kohberger had apparently turned off his phone during the time when the murders occurred was further tantalizing knowledge, but it was not enough. They also sourly realized to persuade a judge to issue an arrest warrant. All they could do for now was store this intelligence away until another vital part of the puzzle could be unearthed, the crucial eureka moment that would allow them to tie all the disparate pieces into a firm knot, a knot that not even the most industrious defense attorney could ever hope to unravel. In the meantime, though, they would need to keep a watch on Kohberger. The entire country, or so it often seemed, was complaining that the case was dragging on and on without resolution. It would be a disaster, not just professionally, but also for their own peace of mind, if Kohberger slipped out of their grasp before handcuffs could be put on him. Only now, as the suspect headed across the country in the very car they believed had been captured in the blurry surveillance footage, his father mystifyingly at his side, they had lost him even before the Hatbox Op could get underway. A mood of panic rapidly escalated into one of despair. Frantically, they began to search the records of automated license plate readers in nearby states. It was an exercise in futility. Nothing, not a single hit. Then they got lucky. There's not much to Loma, Colorado. There are just about 1,300 people scattered about on a few big farmsteads. But US Route 6 passes straight through the center of the town, and 8 years ago, the Colorado Department of Transportation thought it was high time to install Loma's first traffic light. It went up in 2015. It wasn't long after that, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, December 13th, it caught Washington State Plate CFB 8708, which is the car registered to Bryan. With this sighting, the Hatbox Op was once again underway. The watchers would keep their eyes covertly on the car all the way to Pennsylvania. Fate had mercifully bestowed on them a second chance, and they were determined not to stumble. Still, they were not prepared for what happened next. Sorry, you guys, I had to get a drink. Okay. The interstate was as flat and empty as the landscape. Any threat of snow had vanished. The dome of sky above I-70 was reassuringly blue. In Michael Kohberger's calm and steady universe, there was no reason to suspect that the FBI was lurking in the shadows. Even the suggestion of such clandestine goings-on would likely have struck him as preposterous. Nevertheless, as 2 days passed uneventfully, and the pair now drove through Indiana early on the morning of December 15th, Michael suddenly found his world starting to tilt off its axis. He abruptly had a new worry. It seemed, incredibly, that his son's stolid university neighborhood, the precise location just a stone's throw, in fact, from Bryan's apartment, had turned into a combat zone. Then they talk about the Brent Kopaka, who is in the thing. I'm going to skip a little bit forward just because it's a very long article and I want to show you guys that video. Okay. Raking over the gruesome Idaho case had in many quarters become a macabre pastime. Would not an anxious father make the leap from one calamity to another nearby, one also tied to a university? After all, they were seated nearly shoulder to shoulder in the narrow confines of a Hyundai for 3 monotonous days. They had to have found something to talk about on the long drive. Tedium is an effective catalyst, and the touchstones were limited. It is a reckless supposition to suggest the Idaho student murders were the stuff of a substantive father and son chat. The answer to these questions, however, are known only to 2 people, to be revealed, if ever, on their own volition. Nevertheless, it does not take elaborate flights of the imagination to envision a trenchant, if guarded, conversation centered on the infamous local tragedy. I wonder if they did talk about it. You know they had to. I mean, his mom, you know, she was paying attention to what was going on in the true crime world. She had written the article about Bundy's execution. She written the poem about the Uvalde school shooting. I'm sure they had to talk to him about it somewhat. Or, for that matter, to wonder about the demons that, if the authorities' allegations have merit, might have come perilously close to bursting forth. Yet, while there are no recordings of their road trip chats, what happened as the Hyundai crept through Hancock County, Indiana, has been carefully preserved. At 10:41 on the morning of December 15th, as the car approached the 107 mile marker on the interstate, Bryan Kohberger saw red and blue lights flashing in his rearview mirror. A sheriff's car was demanding that the vehicle pull over. Bryan obeyed. He waited behind the wheel as the officer approached. What would happen next seemed destined to play out as high drama. At the very least, the car approximately fit the description of a vehicle observed in the aftermath of a quadruple murder. The driver, the Moscow Police Department had alerted the nation, was to be considered a person of interest in their investigation. As Deputy Nick Ernstez walked with slow, measured steps toward the passenger side of the Hyundai where Michael sat, there seemed to be no escape. There would be no springing free. The time of reckoning had arrived. And he looked like it in his face. He looked, Only as the tape from Ernstein's body cam revealed, the ensuing confrontation was far more farce than tragedy. The conversation between the Kohbergers and the deputy moved forward with its own abstruse logic, a litany of non sequiturs that seemed as if it had been inspired by a madcap Abbott and Costello routine. When the deputy officiously demands where they're heading, Bryan's response suggests nothing more than a casual drive. We're going to get some Thai food right now. That's when the father decides it's his turn to play the straight man. Well, we're coming from WSU. To the Indiana deputy, the initials have no meaning. It's all beyond him. So both the father and son, eager to please, attempt to remedy the confusion and in the process only add to the officer's puzzlement. He can't decide whether both of them work at the university or who, in fact, is the student, or if they've headed out from Washington State on a cross-country road trip to get Thai food in Pennsylvania. Then, even as the deputy is laboriously trying to sort through the befuddling torrent of information, Michael, who seems as if he could talk the ears off a brass monkey, starts rambling on about the shooting earlier that day at WSU. This grabs the officer's attention. So, what do you say about some SWAT teams? Michael now has his lead. He begins a long-winded explanation only to be cut off. Interesting, the deputy remarks without apparent interest, but Michael is determined to have the last word. Well, it's horrifying, he reprimands, yet the son must have his say too. With the graduate student's well-ingrained reverence for the facts, he corrects, "We don't know about that actually. We weren't there for the shooting. We're slightly punchy because we've been driving for hours," the father finally confesses. By now, the poor deputy is no doubt punchy too, and in the end, perhaps eager to escape from this madness. He warns them not to tailgate and lets them go without a ticket. As the body cam footage ends, it is difficult to discern who is happier to be driving off, the Kohbergers or the deputy. Yet, a quick 9 minutes after, they're back on the interstate. Bryan once again, flashing lights in the rear view. Blah, blah, blah. And what were the FBI thinking as they, from a discreet distance, observed their targets being pulled over not once but mind-boggling twice by authorities? There is an iron rule. Law enforcement veterans will tell you that in any long-running op, the unexpected is to be expected at any time. The outrageous, in fact, must be regarded as inevitable. Yet, according to sources familiar with the Bureau's skittish temperament as these two unanticipated traffic stops played out, a knowing patience was not the guiding standard that December day. The agents were frustrated and they were angry. The possibilities were too dangerous. I'm curious if the truth of these stops, who called for, if they actually, I'm just curious of the truth. Let me see what you guys are doing. This reading is making me crazy. Hey, Jinlu. Okay. Okay, I am going to read this part because I think it's important. The main problem shared law enforcement officials with an arm's length familiarity with the FBI surveillance operation was the watchers' helpless passivity. All they could do was observe from a distance and wonder. Had diligent Indiana lawmen spotted the car traveling down the interstate and immediately connected it to the white Hyundai that was wanted by the Moscow PD, were the locals about to make an arrest before the final incriminating piece had been fitted into the puzzle? If that happened, it had the potential to be a catastrophe. The suspect would be alerted, and perhaps then, if he was advised by a canny lawyer, the army of investigators would never have the opportunity to make their airtight case. Their second concern, however, was an even more dangerous prospect. Was the suspect armed? Would someone who they believed had killed 4 people hesitate to kill again? Would the highway cops become victims too? Or would the suspect simply gun the Hyundai and race down the highway? The spectacle of another OJ-like chase might be imminent. In the end, none of the apprehensive watchers' anxieties came to fruition, but a hard lesson, according to what other law enforcement officials heard, had been learned. This case had to be wrapped up soon. If not, anything could happen. There were too many imponderables. Time was not on their side. I like that word, imponderables. Okay, we're taking a break from this article because I'm having a difficult time focusing on reading, and I have the video I wanted to show you. So let's watch that and then we'll come back. But I really want to know why it was taken down now. And Woofy was looking into it all day. So
I just found some crazy shit that blew my mind. Stay with me on this one because I searched everywhere and I couldn't find anyone talking about this. It'll make a ton of sense as I talk through it. Lawyers, call me out if I'm way off base and stitch an explanation. Those of you that are following my videos know I try to avoid speculation like the plague, but here it goes. I believe with a high degree of certainty that Ben Mogan and Ethan's parents, along with his siblings, were at the house on November 13th and witnessed the aftermath of what occurred. I believe I can prove it. I also think that the 911 call is being held partly because the parents may have been the ones speaking. I also believe Bethany left the house between 2 and 4 a.m. that morning and didn't return until later when it was an active crime scene. So here's the backup. To the right is the case summary. The pages are going to loop in case you don't catch something the first time. But let's start with page 4. It lists everyone that's included in the no contact orders by initials. And as expected, Bethany, Dylan, Ben Mogan, the Chapins, the Goncalveses, and 2 unknowns are listed. It's pretty easy to figure out who's who, except for those 2 randoms. Now, remember all those initials. Jump to page 6 where the victim's rights notices are listed. And check this out. Ben Mogan got one. Ethan's parents and siblings got one. Dylan got one. Those random initials got one. First question, why didn't Bethany get one? Could it be a record error? Or did she go back out sometime between 2 and 4 a.m. after seeing everyone and didn't return until after the scene was locked down? The affidavit says the occupants were in their rooms by 4 a.m. It doesn't say how many occupants were present. And it isn't fully clear if both Dylan and Bethany confirmed 4 a.m. Look again at how it's written. It's just been assumed that all 6 were there, but it would make a ton of sense why no statement details from her. Lawyers, anyone, call me out if I'm off here. Now, notice that the Goncalveses also didn't get a victim's notice. Here's what I think. I think Maddie's dad and Ethan's parents and siblings were all together at U of I, spending time individually as families. And that because the parents were there and Ethan's siblings went there with him, they all showed up that morning at the crime scene and saw some or all of what happened. I also think whoever those random initials belong to most likely saw some or all of what went down too. I think the parents are on that 911 call, and that's partially why it isn't being released. And I'm starting towards Bethany not being at the house until the scene was locked down. But really, why wouldn't Bethany have a victim's rights notice if I'm wrong about all this? I hate speculating, so lawyers, let me know. If I'm way off base, then please clarify. Everyone else, call me out if this isn't a new revelation.
Okay, so I don't necessarily agree with him about the parents and all them being there. I think they could still be included as victims in some of this anyway. But it is interesting that Dylan and Bethany haven't gotten the same paperwork and the same exact treatment, basically. I'm curious what the difference is there. And also, Bethany, a lot of people were curious why we heard nothing from Bethany in the affidavit. So I don't know. Yeah, see, a lot of people have wondered that about Dylan, like in the affidavit, why, Bethany's not in there. Not a rumor. Ethan's siblings called their parents to come to the house. Alex, they were there, hun. Interesting. I mean, I know that's just hearsay. I'm not saying it's, you know what I mean? I know it's just person in the chat, but if they were, it is interesting that that's kind of going around. According to reports, there were at least a dozen of students outside the house at one point in the morning before law enforcement arrived. Well, I know that the chief of police, he did an interview at one point. It was like right around the 1 month mark. And he was like looking back on the investigation up to that point. And I remember him saying that there was a ton of people out there. There were people crying, people praying, people asking who was inside, people demanding answers. So I don't know. I shall have to ponder this for a bit. Well, I'm curious because someone sent it to me. Nicole, by the way, thank you. And then thank you so much. And then me and Woofy talked, and Woofy was like trying to look into it. At the time that I talked to her, she had been online looking for the court documents. Well, they've been taken off, at least somewhat. The access is somewhat restricted to those. But I think that we found a way around that. So I was curious what she found in those, but I don't know. Why did the 911 caller not use their own phone? I don't know. Maybe the phone call started by Dylan or, one of whichever roommate, and maybe they weren't able to speak or finish the call. That's kind of what I would assume is most likely what happened, but I don't know. Hey, Tia. It's okay, Woofy. I mean, I don't know. that article, I don't know, something, maybe I am getting what the kids have, because I just, like, it's making me dizzy to read it. I usually do not feel that way. They put Dylan in there because she saw him and Bethany probably didn't, in my opinion. But then why would Dylan get it victims' rights, like the victims' rights notices and the families, but not Bethany? Because the families didn't see him. Hey, Truth Teller. Hey, Riddler. This case is going to get way more interesting with discovery and something we have not been told, because law enforcement needed to leave something out. So I'm not going to read through this second part, but we're going to just like scroll through it and see if we can find anything. Excuse me, you guys. I'm sorry. So they arrived on the 16th. On the 23rd, that's when Brett Payne supposedly got the search warrant for his cell phone, which is, some of what they used from his cell phone to arrest him. As far as that's how they knew how many times he had been by the house and all that stuff, and he had turned his phone off. And that's the man that was in charge of doing the arrest. He had been handpicked by the FBI to run the op for the Stadies, but he was a shrewd choice. He has a gruff, no-nonsense edge. Went to University of Scranton. He has a law degree. Wow. Listen to this. Although Kohberger was apparently unaware of it, the Stadies and the suspect were playing an intricate game of cat and mouse. There was Kohberger, observed taking his Hyundai in for servicing at a garage in Effort, Pennsylvania, not far from his parents' home. Next, he's spotted wearing gloves as he gives the vehicle a meticulous cleaning. And, of course, these are actions that can mean nothing or everything. It just depends on the preconceived notions that influence your judgment. A little harder to dismiss, though, is Kohberger sneaking over to deposit some trash in a neighbor's garbage pail at around 4 a.m. Getting rid of incriminating evidence. I am so curious what they got out of that trash. Also, what they'll find in the car. Because if he cleaned it like that, I don't know. I have a fear they won't find much. I know some people have basically said it could be like a crime. It's like a crime scene on wheels. It's where he went right after. And surely there would be blood or some sort of evidence of what happened in there. But if he cleaned it like that, I don't know. Murdaugh was considered a victim and offered a victim's advocate until he was charged. Oh, yes, Truth Teller, when the rest comes out. Absolutely. Hey, Rescue Mom. Hey, MK. Detective Juan. Hey, y'all. Well, I'm sorry for speculating earlier about Bryan having ASD. Not at all if you missed it. Well, I missed it, but I gotta know. I cannot wait to find out what was in that trash, though. That is just crazy to me. There has to be a reason that he was doing that. So I do think there'll be something that they found in there. Let's see. All this was before the Great Trash Robbery. That was what some wags at Troop N, the state police barracks that was running the surveillance op, later dubbed the pilfering. On December 27th, Major Paris received a request from the FBI to plunder the trash bins outside the Kohberger residence. That same day, once the Stadies were certain no one was looking, 2 troopers swooped in and made off with a pile of the Kohberger family's trash. The purloined parcel was quickly shipped across the country to Meridian, Idaho. There, at the Idaho State Police Crime Lab, a forensic team went to work sorting through the trash. It turned out to be a treasure trove. For all along, the police had been holding a secret about the DNA. It was a minuscule sample. That's important, I think, because, you know, a lot of people have speculated that it could have been left there purposely and he missed it, you know, cleaning up, thinking that he wouldn't have left any DNA on it. The dynamic entry is what they go into next, which we talked about that. That is a huge deal. That is, well, I'm going to read this part. So dynamic entry is only used to serve an arrest warrant when the threat matrix is code red. You go in with overwhelming force, pounding down the doors, breaking windows, and setting off explosive devices. The strategy is meant not just to surprise the suspect, but also to scare the living daylights out of him. Because there's one thing that's always rising up in the mind of any tactical cop charging through the front door. If the target's waiting inside to ambush you, it doesn't matter too much what sort of tactics you use. This is his turf. He has the advantage. And if he's determined not to give up without a fight, bad things can happen. Just after midnight, December 30th, a Pennsylvania State Police Special Emergency Response Team assembled at the Gray Barn-like Troop-In Barracks in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. And we're going to go look at Molly's video from talking to the neighbors after this and look at the house. Even though they've already cleaned up, you know, because when they did this, there was a mess. Broken glass everywhere. They busted through the windows, the window on the door and the windows of the house. There were 24 of them, the usual 16 entry team members, and maybe 8 sharpshooters. And they were packing Glock 40 caliber pistols were generally the weapon of choice, and the point men, as a rule, carried 2 pistols. Those who'd be the first through the door were also armed with stubby black HK MP5 submachine guns. It was a brutal weapon, particularly in an enclosed space. The backups had short-barreled Remington 870 12 gauges. It's a shotgun meant for killing, not wounding. And over military-style camo uniforms, they wore heavy, load-bearing tactical body armor fitted out with level 4 strike plates. The early morning arrest of Bryan would be code red, op dynamic entry all the way. Wow, that is insane. Let me pull up that video of them, too, over there today. Hold on. Whew, I came outside, y'all, because I need a cigarette, but it is cold. Hey, Pointer Lover, and hey, Stuck in the Mud. I bet it did, too, and I bet it scared the crap out of his family. Like, that's what I feel so bad for them in a way, because I also am curious if they had any sort of clue. I think they had to question it at least somewhat, but I still feel bad for them. I mean, they didn't do it. They were in Pennsylvania, and they had to be woken up at 3, 4 in the morning to, you know, all the commotion and everything. That's awful. Okay, let's see. Molly Go Lightly, I think, is the channel that it was on. Okay. Ooh, I love the bum. Can you believe I'm getting freaking commercials for this? Even though I was just talking about purchasing it and the lotion and stuff. That's so weird how Google does that. Ugh.
All right, Molly Golightly, what you just missed right now was a big siren from Mr. We're allowed to go from that pole on, and she said we're not allowed to be here, but we got permission from that pole out. Yeah, we're only going to be here for like 4 minutes. But from this pole on, and she said we can't be here, but we got permission from this pole on.
So apparently they were getting the neighbors. Some of them were mad. Let's fast forward a little bit because I actually haven't watched it all. I quit after he started talking to her. I just figured I'd watch it later. But I know, Nate, that's weird that it's showing up. Google is always listening. It doesn't matter. Test this out. You go and talk about water beds. Talk about a water bed like 10 times in one day, just near your phone or on the phone or whatever. And I swear to you, if in a couple of days you're not seeing ads for water beds, then I'll be shocked.
Yeah.
You don't really hear much going on.
Did you hear the helicopters
yeah,
that
they
night?
had a whole bunch of news trucks and everything.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Out here.
Never hear nothing here.
What goes on in there?
Yeah.
I'm here 17 years. Yeah. I mean, it's screwed up with that guy.
Yeah.
Who would I thought he lived in here? But
So you never hear nothing here. Never.
you don't really hear much going on.
Did you hear the helicopters that
they
night?
had a whole bunch of news trucks and everything.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Out here, correct?
Mama Bear.
They had a whole bunch of news trucks and everything. Where are you from?
Hershey.
Oh, okay.
I live in Hershey.
All right.
I'm Molly Golightly. It's nice to meet you. That's
Okay.
Bullhorn Betty. We go around the country and everything. Yeah, there was security. The security was basically telling us that we were supposed to be from the pole that way.
Security? What does she mean by that?
We just wanted to know, like, how
I came here
you guys feel. Because it is
Right, this is his parents' home.
We feel from him being here?
Well, it's
Oh,
just
what he did.
What he
what
did
he
was wrong.
did.
Yeah.
What he did was totally wrong.
Right. I can't believe it, really.
And I'm not showing you.
Oh,
things.
gated
And
community.
the
No, I
crazy
would
thing
never
is
do that.
We hear that this area is so safe and nice.
is.
Yeah, it
People
is.
are
We're
nice.
here 18 years and never heard of anything
Oopsie.
going on.
Like this, yeah. I think it shocked everybody. I don't think anybody was expecting.
No.
So there's you guys, anybody who maybe isn't watching chat and is just listening, security is apparently because it is a gated community. That's interesting.
Anything like this. It was
Yeah.
crazy
I'm
because I was.
surprised you guys are here now because this happened a few weeks ago.
It did. It did. I was actually in Idaho when he was arrested. The
Oh
day he
yeah,
was
she's
arrested,
met.
I was
She
in
did an
Moscow.
interview with
Kaylee Goncalves' family.
Oh,
one of the
really?
victims. Yeah. We sat them.
And then put on her channel a video of supposed screams and all the other craziness.
down. They invited us in their home and we got an interview with them. And we didn't focus on any of the speculative. We just wanted us to get to humanize people,
Of course.
you know, a lot of people. And we
Yeah,
heard, we
your
actually
son,
heard,
but
and I'm recording myself just to let you guys
yeah.
know.
We're not gonna record you.
Believe that this is
This
the
is why
final.
I say you never know what's going on in somebody's head.
Okay.
You
I
might
just
look like
see
an
boobs.
angel on the
I know.
outside, but there's shit ticking in your head.
Yeah.
You have
Be
no
careful,
idea.
Britt.
I agree. But you know,
And he
what's
was
so
very intelligent.
Yeah, he was no dope.
But listen to this. This is the thing: is that he was under a famed book author that studied BTK, and you would think that if you're talking about a criminal's mind and criminal behavior, like this lady's supposed to be a professional, and you
Yeah.
got no
Okay, we're
red,
skipping
you
forward
had
a little
no
bit.
red flags.
No,
Yeah.
that's it.
Just like
That's how good she
dumbfounded.
is.
Yeah, it was just dumb.
really.
You probably never even met his parents.
No.
So this guy's lived there 17 years and never met his parents, but he did say he heard the helicopters and stuff that night. I think that's all we're gonna get out of
There's so
this.
many people in it,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
you know, but there's a lot of bullshit you got to put up with that community inside.
course.
That's why I have my house built out here.
Yeah. I
You
see.
know, I pay dues to them,
Of course, yeah.
but I don't got to deal with their stupidity, man.
Yeah.
I
You know?
live in a gated. Yeah,
Yeah, they don't let nobody in unless they get a phone.
yeah.
Yeah.
I live in
It's
Oh, so they're not inside the gated community. They are right outside. They're not allowed in. And she says they won't allow anybody in. Wow, that's even crazier when you think about the night that he was arrested.
so hard to get in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew we were gonna get stopped.
Yeah, I knew that. Well, you know, I was hoping, I was crossing my fingers that it was public, even because we have gates in our community, but it's maintained by the county, like the roads are maintained.
You're from out here? Where you
No,
from?
I'm
She's
from
in Florida.
I know,
I'm
Florida.
in
cray-cray.
Yeah, and so
And where you
usually
from?
I can get around
Hershey.
the gates by
Hershey.
it being public, public roadway.
No, you can't.
But this is all private, and
Yeah.
that gives them the ability to make those rules. So kind of, yeah, it's weird.
So they did not allow them in. They actually must not have even went to the house. That's what I was kind of looking at the bottom to fast forward to see like if they showed that anything else, but they don't. I don't know. Still interesting though. Let's see. No, I don't think they were protesting. I guess they were just there to film or talk to the neighbors. I don't even know. I don't know. They're going to be pretty cute. Y'all are funny. What is a gated community? Pay extra for rich people to live there? Yes. So like there's probably a security guard there. You have to pay, super high HOAs, community fees. You maybe share a pool, but you have a security guard. So people can't just drive up to your house. And you have to give your ID or whatever at the gate. And then, how did News Daddy get to the home? I don't know. Oh my gosh, I don't know, you guys. It's just craziness. It'll be really interesting to see how things shake out. Have you guys seen? Oh, so then there also is the Goncalves family Facebook page. I was going to tell you guys about that, but also, have you seen all the stuff about the people the women who are interested in Bryan? Like that was a big topic over the weekend or last week. Why do women do that? Like the women that wanted to be with Chris Watts after that. Why? What are you thinking? Like, oh my God, being single is not, it's fun. Like, it's not that bad. What are you? Oh, I don't know. Here's the family Facebook page. Let's look at that. Hold on. My daughter is in a gated community. Gate is open most of the time. Breaks down a lot. It is weird. I'm sure the FBI. Hey, Jay. I'm sure the FBI let the complex owner know. And yeah, I think so too. They worked something out. To be fair to all you women, I've seen men say similar stuff about JD Arias and other women killers. That's true, I guess. Love me some bad boys, but murderers, I have to draw the line. The big do not cross line. It's so freaking weird to me. It is yuck. Someone called the homeowner association. Me too, Heather. Me too. It is fun. You get to do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about pleasing anybody else. I don't know. There's perks to it. So Goncalves family page. Let's see. Oh, I also had a post that Ethan's mom made. I was going to show you guys too, which is really sad. Oh, look, here's my K-Bug back in high school. I'm not going to play the music, even though, yeah, it's Juju on that beat. We're not going to play it. Oh, my God. Pretty kids. So sad. So if you guys want to go follow this page or whatever, you just have to search the Goncalves family page. And it's like a trending topic right now. So it comes right up first thing. Here it is. Here.
Yeah, and it's to help us. This is a small community, and we're not going to let this become normal.
The Goncalves family has created an official Facebook page. Check it out.
So we just put together a family page. But it's real, it's legit, and it's to help us organize. So if you want to send information there, we're trying to keep it all in one place.
Here's a message from Stephanie Conway, the Goncalves family's private investigator.
We don't want law enforcement thinking we're trying to outdo them. We're just trying to reach people who are scared to talk to the police directly.
And here's some photos that Goncalves posted.
So they're not wanting to just do a remembrance page. They want tips and stuff.
You're not going to.
No, you don't go to sleep at night and somebody seems to your house. You don't go to sleep at night not knowing at the end of the day.
My God, that is awful. Let's see. I think he did a video. Here it is. Message from Mr. Goncalves. It's 30 seconds.
We put it together. Hey, this is Steve. We put together a new page to help with all the communications that was coming, sometimes to Olivia, sometimes to Shannon, sometimes to my wife, me. So we just put together a family page. The name's Bryan, some Idaho murders, family page. But it's real, it's legit, and that's to help us organize. So if you want to send information there, we're trying to keep it all in one place. Thank you.
So, yeah, if you want to send information and interesting, the family's been on the ball since day one. They're the ones who got the grub truck video. Let me show you guys the Ethan's mom's post. It says, we were recently told to look for a victory every day. By the way, thank you to Mallory, who's one of the people who sent this to me. I also had it saved from somewhere else. I don't know. But when Mallory, and I always like to say where I get stuff. I don't like that. I just don't like that. Okay. We were recently told to look for a victory every day, even if it is the tiniest little victory. It is admittedly challenging some days, but excellent advice. And pause again. Sorry. Mallory from Allegedly with Brittany J, that channel. So if you guys are interested, you can go to that channel, and that's where Brittany is and Mallory. Okay. Early on, Jim and I agreed that Maisie and Hunter had to return to school. It was one of many early morning coffee conversations you have before the kids get up. It all felt tricky at the time, but after 2 months, it became clear this was the right decision. We decided to visit them every other weekend at the University of Idaho. The thought was to stay close and connected, but allow the kids space to heal at their own pace. So we've just arrived home from our first college visit since we dropped them off. In true Chapin form, all were welcome, and we fed 20 kids a home-cooked meal on Thursday night. On Friday, we spent time with Maisie and some of her friends. Over the long weekend, we enjoyed coffee dates, walks, long conversations, and hugs. We spent time remembering Ethan and sharing stories. There were many victories. Our kids are resilient, but this is definitely a challenging time. We're grateful they have each other at school, fraternity and sorority friends, and other amazing support systems. They are each processing this new normal in their own way, and that's okay. Our job as parents is to be there and provide tools and resources as needed. We've compared our family's healing process to the ice wall in Game of Thrones. If you've watched it, you get it. If you haven't, the wall is an impenetrable wall of ice about 1 million times tall. The start of the grieving process felt like standing at the bottom of the wall with no key to get through the gate and no rope to get up the wall. The rope has been tossed over the wall, and we've started the tedious climb. The healing is day by day, and some days are easier than others. This morning, the sunrise was beautiful. We will take that as today's victory. And then she shared these photos of her and Maisie, and then Hunter, and then the sunrise that day. So I don't know. I thought that was, sad. I'm in awe. I think I would be under the bed. And I know, Jana, me too. But you know what? They have their other 2 kids, and they have to find a way to continue, right, for them. So, because I've always thought, even like for me, is my own life. I've said this so many times on here, like the one thing I think that would really make me relapse would be losing one of my kids. However, the thing that kind of stops me from thinking that I would do that is that my other one would need me, And so I think you find that strength to go on for your other ones. You have to, I'm sure. That's just kind of what I think. Welcome, Lady P. Thank you. Thank you for joining. All right, you guys. Oh, yeah. There are a couple wrenches that I haven't been able to give back because people haven't been in here. So if you hear this later and you wonder why or something, that is why. And a couple I'm not giving back. And there's a couple that I probably would, but they just aren't active anymore on the platform. So I probably won't give those back either. But okay, anyways. The mystery to me is no release of the 911 call. Caller not identified, all before a gag order. Well, I think there's got to be a reason for that. In my opinion, from day one, if you think about that press conference, and when we found out that the roommates were in the house, do you remember when that happened? And everyone was like, what? There were people there? And from when he was asked at that same press conference, like at the end, the reporters have a chance to ask questions, and they started to ask about the 911 call. He got really nervous and he acted very strange. He wouldn't answer hardly anything. And there has to be a reason for that. I've always thought that from day one. Okay. Anyways, other than that, Oh, me too, Jay. Me too. One day at a time for sure. The bad taste that a guy I met has in women is because of childhood traumas recreated now with dating people. These crazy girls going after killers are doing the same, I guess. Huh, probably so. That makes sense. When my sister was murdered, my stepmom basically neglected her other children. So sad. Jana, I did not know that happened. I'm so sorry to hear that. Mallory, I told Brittany that I want to give Mallory a wrench so she doesn't feel left out, but also, I don't want to her to feel like she has to or to take your wrenches. And she's like, no, it's okay. But I love you too. So it's up to you, but let me know about that. Watching that show, Murder in Dorms, helped me understand how the students around this are probably feeling after what happened in Idaho. Thank you for pointing that show out. Oh my gosh, so you've watched it? I've been wanting to watch it. I need to do it. It's on Hulu, right? Murder in the Dorms or something like that. If you search dorms, it should pop right up, you guys. There's a new Hulu show. It's so interesting that it came out right around the time that all this happened too. I believe it must have been planned far before this based on the timing, but hey, Marcia. Well, there wasn't a ton of updates last week. I covered a couple different cases here because of that. I mean, there are things coming out, and if you dig, you can find stuff. There's always interesting stuff with a case that's gotten this big. If you dig, you can find it, but I don't know. There's so many other cases that need attention as well. So we did talk about a couple other cases. If you guys missed those videos, definitely check them out because they're super important. Like today, the Lindsay Clancy, that is such an important topic that needs to be talked about. If you're a creator, I really, I think that'd be anybody who's willing and wants to talk about that. It would be really good. And then the other one is Madison Brooks, which is also really important and has to do with another college town situation. I would like to know more about the handprint on the sliding glass door. Does it tie in the brown paper bag, the potted soil on the counter? Now, I was told that was on a different, not the sliding glass door, but I don't know for sure. You can get a free 30-day membership to watch if you need to. Okay, awesome. Watched it and it's chilling at some points. Oh, wow. Okay, I definitely got to watch it. Maybe we'll find some interesting cases that we can talk about. Hey, LFT. Good to see you. Which case trials were you going to try to cover? Shay, I want to do Orrin and Orson West, which I think they had court today. I'm curious to see what happened there. Lori Vallow, Lori Vallow and Letitia Stalk. It's like Gannon Stalk was the victim, but the Letitia Stalk trial. Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell. Those are my two that I'm just so anxiously waiting for and have been for the last 2 or 3 freaking years. It feels like forever. And let's see, I think Letitia is in the end of March and Lori is in April, I believe. Had anybody heard what happened today with Jacqueline and Trezell West? I know will be. My friends over at Decipher Podcast covered that some. Jay, me too. I think that I was clueless about it too. I don't think that I know because also what I had when I had Bentley, I had to have him 8 weeks early because I had a variant of preeclampsia called HELLP syndrome, HELLP syndrome. And it's deadly. I mean, I went to a university hospital a few hours away and delivered while completely asleep and had to have blood transfusions. I was so sick. I didn't even see Bentley for over 24 hours. It was horrific. And I had no idea that I was sick. I didn't know the symptoms to look for. I think something has to change. I used to say that I wanted to start a nonprofit to bring awareness to HELP syndrome, but I just think that needs to be done somewhere, somehow, in all aspects of women's health care. I really do. I feel bad for her too. I know, Joel's super lucky. I didn't have high blood pressure. That's the thing. Like it's a variant of preeclampsia, but my blood pressure wasn't one of the symptoms I had. What caused my doctor to know was the itching. And matter of fact, I had a full appointment and was about to go home, had wore a monitor for like 20 minutes watching the heartbeat, and everything was good. And I said, as I'm about to leave, I mentioned itching. And he's like, wait, he's like, that could be very dangerous for pregnant people. Basically, that's your liver shutting down and the toxins start to come out into your body, and it itches. And yeah, it was scary. Super, super scary. I believe the West trial is going to begin in March. Okay, so it was supposed to start today. Okay, they had a hearing that was supposed to be on the 25th. It got rescheduled for today. Today was supposed to be the trial date, but they had to have pushed that back to have that final status hearing today. There's a killer using dating apps to get victims and stay hidden from authorities. It was on the news. Came in. Oh my God, that's crazy. My friend did. We both went to the same specialist. They took my blood pressure. Hers. You are so lucky. That means he's supposed to be here. Absolutely, Jules. It's scary. I joined like Facebook groups about it and stuff after. Lots of women are not as lucky as I was, Lots of women lose their lives to that too. And we just don't know. Oh, MK. Thank you. I couldn't see. Let me join from my phone. I'm about to let you guys go anyway, but still. To let you go. My friend wasn't. Oh, I'm so sorry, Jules. I'm so, so sorry. MK, that was so sweet. Thank you. All right. I am going to let you guys go. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I appreciate you so much. Hey, Allie. And I'll probably see you guys tomorrow, okay? Thank you guys, and I hope you have a best day ever. Or the best night ever. See, my brain is just not working today. Oh my goodness. I guess tomorrow I'll be home with the kids all day, so who knows exactly what time I'll be live, but I will be live at some point. All right. I love you all. Thank you for hanging out with me. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye.